Have you ever wondered why China seems so determined to challenge the US dollar? You hear a lot about trade wars and currency manipulation, but the real story goes much deeper. This isn't just about trade deficits or economic competition. For Beijing, this is about survival. Imagine you're playing a high-stakes game, but your opponent controls the entire board, makes the rules, and can change them anytime they want. That's how China sees the global financial system, which is overwhelmingly dominated by the US dollar. Nearly every major international transaction, from buying oil to selling electronics, is priced and settled in dollars. This gives the United States a level of power that no other country in history has ever had. It's often called America's exorbitant privilege. So, what does this privilege actually mean? It means the US can print money to pay its debts, a luxury no one else has. More importantly, it gives Washington the power to use the financial system as a weapon. Through sanctions, the US can cut off entire countries from the global economy. Think about it. If you can't access US dollars, you can't trade. You're effectively locked out of the international marketplace. We've seen this happen with countries like Iran and North Korea, and more recently, the sweeping sanctions against Russia have been a massive wake-up call for leaders in Beijing. From China's perspective, this is an existential threat. They watch as the US uses its control over the dollar and the SWIFT payment system to enforce its foreign policy. They see a future where, if tensions were to escalate over an issue like Taiwan, the United States could simply flip a switch and cripple the Chinese economy overnight. Their massive foreign currency reserves, mostly held in US dollars, could be frozen. Their banks could be cut off from the international system. Their global trade, the very engine of their economic miracle, could grind to a halt. This isn't just a hypothetical scenario. It's a strategic vulnerability that China's leaders are acutely aware of. They understand that as long as they are dependent on the dollar, their economic sovereignty and even their national security are ultimately in someone else's hands. It doesn't matter how many aircraft carriers or advanced missiles you have if your opponent can bring your economy to its knees without firing a single shot. This is the core of their motivation. It's not about communism versus capitalism. It's about risk management on a national scale. So, what is China doing about it? They're playing the long game. This isn't something that can be changed overnight. Their strategy is multi-pronged and methodical. First, they are pushing for their own currency, the yuan, to be used more in international trade. They've signed currency swap agreements with dozens of countries, allowing them to bypass the dollar for bilateral trade. When China buys oil from Saudi Arabia or soybeans from Brazil, they are increasingly trying to pay for it in yuan, not dollars. A key part of this is their Belt and Road Initiative. As China finances and builds massive infrastructure projects around the world, railways and power plants, they often structure the deals and loans in yuan. This slowly but surely creates a new ecosystem for their currency, embedding it into the economies of their trading partners. Every transaction done in yuan is one less transaction that reinforces the dollar's dominance and one less transaction that the US can control. Then there's the technological front. China was one of the first major economies to roll out a central bank digital currency, the digital yuan or ACE. While it's still mostly used domestically, the long-term vision is clear. A digital currency could make cross-border payments faster, cheaper, and, most importantly, completely independent of the existing US-controlled financial infrastructure. Imagine two countries being able to transfer funds directly between their central banks in seconds, without ever touching the SWIFT system or a US correspondent bank. This would be a game. It would effectively create a parallel financial system immune to American sanctions. China is also diversifying its reserves. For decades, they have been the world's largest holder of US Treasury bonds. But recently, they've been steadily reducing those holdings and buying up other assets instead. Most notably, gold. Why gold? Because it's a physical asset that no single country can print or control. It's the ultimate safe haven asset, a form of money that exists outside the traditional financial system. By stockpiling gold, China is building a foundation of financial security that is UN dependent on the policies or whims of the US Federal Reserve. Now, let's be clear. The dollar is not going to disappear tomorrow. Its position is incredibly entrenched. The world's financial markets are built around it. It's liquid, stable, and backed by the largest economy and the most powerful military in the world. Dethroning the dollar is a monumental task, and even China knows it's a marathon, not a sprint. The goal right now isn't necessarily to replace the dollar as the world's number one currency. The immediate goal is to create viable alternatives. What China wants is a multipolar currency world, a world where the dollar is just one of several major global currencies, alongside the euro, the yuan, and perhaps others. In such a world, no single country would have the power to unilaterally cripple another's economy. Power would be more distributed, and the system would be less vulnerable to being used as a political weapon. For China, this isn't about seeking global domination. It's about seeking a seat at the table where the rules are made. It's about de-risking their future and ensuring their economic destiny is in their own hands. So when you see headlines about China pushing the yuan or developing a digital currency, remember what's really driving it. It's not just economic ambition. It's a calculated, strategic move born from a deep-seated fear of vulnerability. It's a quest for financial independence in a world where economic interdependence can be weaponized. It's about survival in the 21st century geopolitical landscape. Understanding this perspective is crucial because it reframes the entire narrative. It's not simply a tale of an aggressive challenger trying to topple the king. It is the story of a rising power trying to build its own house on a solid foundation rather than continuing to rent a room in a house owned by its biggest rival. The future of the global financial order will be shaped by this quiet, patient, and relentless struggle. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown interesting, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the forces shaping our world. See you next time.